Hello there guys, it's Captain Invisible here and welcome back to some Napoleon Total War online action. This is a 2 versus 2 with me and my ally Bulgarian warrior who's been featured in one of my Total War videos before. A great player and actually the one that got me into Napoleon properly. We are teamed up against the Russians and the British on the Savoy hilltop map, which is a very kind of sloped map. It sort of rolls all the way down here, as you can see from the gradient in the mini-map. And if you looked on the initial screen as well, you could see actually that we deploy all the way down here in this bottom corner, so we've had to rush all the way up to try and stop the enemy team from getting the top of the hill, which I think we've done quite successfully. So we just have to now maintain the top. So I'm in command of Austria, and Bulgarian warrior is in command of Prussia. And as I say, the enemy team is Russia and Britain, which is quite amusing because both Russia and Austria are quite good at melee. They've got quite a good selection of melee troops, or melee sort of orientated line infantry. They have great melee stats. And then Prussia and Britain are good at skirmishing, so they've got good shooting stats. So a bit of a mirror image here. We'll just have to see which side is victorious. So, as I say, we had to rush all the way up here, and I'm going to position a couple of lines, a couple of these German Fusiliers, some Grenzers and a Lundwehr over here, just to stop some English troops in these woods here from sort of pushing up. And also I've got some Russians that have moved all the way around this gully here, and to sort of moved around to try and come up the side here. So I'm having to sort of reposition to obviously watch them as well. In the meantime, Bulgarian warrior is going to skirmish with these British rifles with his light infantry. It should go well for his light infantry because light infantry, the Fusiliers, are superior to rifles simply because even though they've got slightly less accuracy, they've got more numbers and so can bring down more firepower on the enemy. Speaking of firepower, these Lundwehr are suffering some heavy losses due to the skirmish troops, but they are now backed up by some of these Prussian Fusiliers who are going to hammer away at these Russian Jaegers, who are no match for the Prussians in a skirmish fight at all. And the Lundwehr are even going to get a nice shot off before these dragoons come in. Nice to knock a few of them over, but if you can see in there are some lines moving up. And as soon as these guys get a shot off, this cavalry is going to be in a tough way. In fact, I think there's some friendly fire going on with these Russian Jaegers, killing off some of the dragoons themselves. So helpful Russian fire support there. But yeah, these Prussian Fusiliers are actually in a really good position in the woods. So these Russian Jaegers were bad as it was, but now they are going to really suffer. There's nothing they can do there. Up here, we've managed to capture the top of the ridge with our cavalry, a lot of lancers and uhlans. So we should have a superior position, superior numbers against the enemy cavalry, who are going to mirror our own cavalry blob. There are some musketeers here ready to support the cavalry, which is always good. Cavalry really does need support from other positions. So at the moment it's just sort of a skirmish fight in the centre. Each of us just probing the enemy, seeing what they can do, and we're going to, they're obviously going to be able to reposition troops behind here. Russia pushing up a lot of its troops further up the hill, along with some British rifles and foot. So they're just using these as a screening force to in order to push up a bit further. And Russia here moving up with some mounted rifles, but I do have some cavalry in support in the woods here, so I'm going to be able to prevent these troops from pushing up too far onto the flank of my my light infantry and German fusiliers. I try and get some militia over here to try and take some shots at the riflemen, but unfortunately he pulls them away, and I'm going to have to pull these guys back. In response though, he does send his cavalry forward, which would have normally been a good idea because the Lundwehr can't form square. However, there is a lot of lines here, and some nasty volleys coming in here are going to make this cavalry pay for coming too close. And a face-off shot is going to send these guys on their way. So a nasty volley there. My spare Grenzers were back here in support, are now going to move up into this gap and are going to be able to apply more pressure. I've not put them in loose formation yet because I did just want to get the shots off, and they're not being fired on by these Russian Jaegers anyway, but I will move them up in loose formation when I get chance. So the Russian cavalry did come in for a strike, but we managed to see it off. Unfortunately, my Uhlans get a bit too aggressive here. I need to keep them away from these Cossack cavalry because they are going to get swamped, and they're going to end up in a not so great position. Fortunately, he does bait a little, allowing me to pull back my Uhlans back into the cover of the forest, ready to initialize another strike. My Grenzers move up, ready to probably take some shots at this British foot. I need to draw him out of this forest, and I have to use my range to do that. He does have rifles firing at me, but I say if I can move up close enough, I can get a nasty volley against these British foot. Really nice volley actually, almost 30 kills straight off the bat, and I'm going to try and pull them back. Unfortunately, I pulled them back sort of in a walk, in a casual march, and obviously the British foot are going to be able to get into range by then and give off a nasty volley in retaliation. A really bad error on my part. I should have been running them at this point, and my lack of micromanagement of these guys has cost a lot of them their lives. I believe the Grenzers are Croatian troops, so yeah, bad on my part. You know, the Germans in the last battle of Peters Austria, now the poor Croatians are suffering. But we are whittling down these Russian Jaegers with very, very few losses. The Fusiliers have moved up a bit further to try and shoot into this vicinity, and we're just applying a lot more pressure. And these Russian troops are running, sir. Trying to sort of move up, but but I'm going to keep my cavalry to ward them off, and I've got a militia there just to block them as well. So the British are going to send some foot over here to hopefully fire on the flank of these Prussian Fusiliers. Not a bad move. The forest will give them a bit of cover whilst they fire. And the British cavalry comes in, the light dragoons hitting a musketeer square. But now they're trapped, now they've exhausted the charge, we can retaliate with our own cavalry. And this is what we're waiting for. We're waiting for this chance to shatter these British cavalry, catch the Russian cavalry off guard, and even get into these lifeguards and musketeers. Nice charge here by these lancers. These are the Tuwalski lancers, getting right into these Subanovsky Life Guard, and a charge is going to weaken them enough. Again, swamping the Cossack cavalry, and Ulan looking like it was going to charge, but decides to stop in front of these musketeers and allow them to charge into them. So not great micromanagement on my part. But my infantry is moving up ready to support, so we are going to soon have some infantry support, and we're catching these musketeers out of square, so my hussars come in and really get into these musketeers. They do manage to get a volley off at point blank range, which I really did want them to do, but we do manage to catch them and get them in a nasty melee with our Hungarian hussars. Not something you ever want to happen. Surrounding some more musketeers with our Ulans, really applying the pressure there. And as I say, the Hungarians are now set up to get some volley fire against these Subanovsky Life Guard. Hopefully not killing too many of the Allied cavalry. I'm probably thinking now that it's probably best just to melee to avoid the friendly fire. So the Czech regiments are going to go in against these musketeers, and I've got Hungarian Fusiliers, should I say, trying to send off the Subanovsky Life Guard. With both cavalry and infantry in this fight, these musketeers are going to break. And then we're able to just really disrupt these line units. These musketeers do not like being charged by cavalry.
Our men are running, sir.
We can sort of get into the thick of these line regiments and push up with our line units, ready to fire at them and give them some volleys. So the morale on these Russians is wavering. They will relent shortly. Meanwhile, the front lines are just at a standstill. This fight is just going to be a slugfest. Although we do have the numbers in this position to succeed. There are some British reserves in the back, but we do have some reserves of our own. Over here, the Russians did sort of kind of push us back a bit further up, but we've managed to save a lot of our units from total annihilation. And Ulan coming into our militia is probably going to do some nasty damage to it. Because the militia can't form square, so they are going to suffer. Concentrated fire breaks this musketeer, and now we're going to be able to push on this flank and get the flank on the troops as was planned. So we are going to have the advantage there. Backwards and forwards firefight on here. The Moscow Musketeers with their pretty sweet hats. I didn't realise they had such fancy hats there. Very nice. And there's the British foot guards here. And then just some British foot as well. The British foot are superior at shooting than the Prussians, but the Prussian Musketeers are not bad either at shooting, and they're going to really be able to apply the pressure here. So we've got some nice decisive charges against the British lines. The Czech regiment coming into these British foot, going to be able to disrupt them and do some damage. bit of a steady crash in the
Our
woods.
men are running.
Unfortunately, these British foot do break our Czech regiment, though. They were tired when they engaged them, so I'm not surprised that they suffered against the British foot. The British foot are actually good at defending in melee. They've got a good melee defense, but I don't think they have as good melee attack or charge as our guys. So the next wave, the Hungarian Fusiliers coming in for a strong charge. Going to be able to push some of these British aside and really get stuck in. Jesus, there's a lot of British killing our guys, but I think it's because our guys are tired, whereas his were active or wounded. So yeah, the tiredness of our guys having to run up all that way and then start fighting the cavalry and then coming down here really is making our guys tired and unfit for combat. Some British reserves over here, a unit of foot, and then the 88th foot, the Connaught Rangers. Connaught. I forget how you pronounce it. It's an Irish regiment, so that probably explains a lot. But yeah, they are in a position to get some fire against these musketeers. So the Hungarians are going to come in and hopefully even out the fighting. There's not a lot of troops left. I still have a lot of reserves over here. Prussia still has the foot guards, I believe, still in check, and obviously his general. And then I have a couple of Grenzers over here, and my fresh Archduke Charles Legion and the First Emperor's Own, as well as a Lundwehr currently acting as a meat screen, and then a couple of Hungarian Fusiliers who were victorious against the British foot, now wanting more British blood. So all the way through this forest there is who's fighting. The Hungarians fighting off the Connaught Rangers. I believe the Connaught Rangers aren't that good in melee. I believe they're more a shooting line, like my Emperor's Own, as opposed to a melee orientated line, like the Fusiliers are. So we should have a melee advantage here against these British. Certainly we have the numbers.
Glorious victory, sir, is soon to be yours.
One of the enemy generals is dead. I believe this is that's the British general. So the British general has fallen. He was trying to fight he was trying to fight against this Hungarian Fusilier and lost his life. So we've still got the Russian general to have to deal with. But I believe he will soon meet his end with all these troops now on his position. The Prussian musketeers fighting off against these Russian Jaegers. The Russian Jaegers are not that bad in melee. They're all knelt down, I can hardly see them in the tall grass. Yeah, they're not half bad in melee. They just don't have the numbers to really outperform a full line regiment.
Our men are running.
And our tired Hungarians are finally sort of losing morale. They're getting a bit too exhausted and just want to go back to the tent and smoke something and play cards and wait for the rest of the troops to finish up, which is probably sensible. I mean, they have outperformed themselves in this battle. They deserve a rest. Russian general finally gives up his life. So that was the battle. Here's the statistics for you. The Prussians being commanded by a Bulgarian warrior, getting 1,337 enemy kills. Me playing as Austria, 1,183 kills. Dolberes playing as Britain, 960 kills. And Germanicus, love the name Germanicus, playing as the Russians, 923 kills. Unit statistics, I think I wasted this first Hussar unit. 45 kills, not great for a unit that costs 800 gold, so yeah, a bit of a mistake on my part. The Emperor's Own and the Archduke Charles were my super reserve, and they didn't really see that much combat, so judging by the losses. So no kills, hardly any kills is acceptable for them, because they were pretty much full anyway. The Czech regiment, what did see a lot of combat, spearheaded my operation on the ridge. 107 losses for 90 kills. They could have done better, and I'm kind of disappointed with the Czech regiment as far as shooting goes. They are most definitely a melee orientated one. You should probably avoid shooting with them altogether if you can help it, but when they do get in melee they are pretty powerful. I might consider putting a chevron on them, because I had chevrons on these two guys. German Fusilier, it doesn't look like it saw much combat, so it only got 9 kills, so it's still a pretty fresh foot unit there. 55 losses for this one, so not too, about half its losses, and 107 kills to show for it, so you're very impressed with that German Fusilier. Very cost effective. The cheaper line units, if you can get them firing at the right targets, they do end up being really cost effective. For 700 gold, they are pretty impressive with that many kills. A nice sort of filler unit for really holding like the flank whilst the rest of my troops push the hill. Magrenzers, not doing too bad, not doing too great either, but just kind of okay-ish. Austrian light infantry is pretty rubbish, so yeah, kind of what I expected from them. My Hungarian Fusiliers really outperforming themselves. A chevron, a couple of chevrons for each of them, and well over 100 kills, 161 for one of them and 144 for the other. Definitely better for melee than shooting again, but they were in a good position to get their melee down, so I was impressed with them in this battle. Hungarian Hussars, this one must have been the one that got into those musketeers, because 101 kills is pretty impressive. And then another one, 42 kills, not bad, mainly just for disruption. Same with these lancers, although 90 kills on a Ulan, that's pretty impressive. But yet again, just for distraction. And then a Lundwehr as well with 45 kills. These are things that shouldn't be happening. These are sort of kills that should not be happening, but seem to be happening anyway. I believe this Lundwehr actually beats a musketeer in melee. I don't know how healthy the other musketeer was, but yeah, I think we were both pretty tired at that point, so yeah, I'm not surprised if his unit was exhausted why the Lundwehr won that out. And then Joseph Alvinsky, obviously not getting any kills. The less I get him in combat, the better. And do not want him dying, especially with Austria. Losing a general is a big deal as Austria. Anyway guys, that was the battle. I hope you all enjoyed it. I shall hopefully be bringing you more Austrian action in the future. As I say, I promised you some more Spanish action though, so maybe that will be my next installment. But thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always, and I shall see you all in the next video.